We are going live. Get this going. All right, all right. What's up, everybody? We got Funk and Focus YouTube live going. We got Future Assassins on Instagram going live, and just going to take some time today to talk about Jack of all trades. I don't know how many people are going to join today. We're going to see. It's a different time than I usually do. What's up, guys? Joining on Instagram. What's going on? Again, feel free to join on the Instagram. Feel free to join on the YouTube. We got both going on. And today's a Q&A as well as just a recap of Jack of all trades. So if you guys have any questions for me or any questions about Jack of all trades or Book of Styles, feel free to just shoot whatever questions you want. I'm just going to start talking about Jack of all trades because it was such an amazing event, and just kind of give you guys a recap of how it was and went down. What's going on, guys? What's up, Coco Pop? Yo, oh, that's OG Coco. What's up, man? How's it going? Dang, Pepito, what up? Gorilla Will, what's going on, y'all? Mason's on here. Just to let you guys know, right after this, we're going to do this for about 45 minutes, and right after this, we have a online tutting class. It's a group session. It's $30, and it's a fundraiser for Book of Styles, which is coming up. So let me talk about that to start, actually. Oh, good. It's nice to hear you're good, Coco. It's been so long. I need to come back out to the West Coast, man. I really do. It's been way too long. Sometimes I get out there at Christmas time to see family. So if I do, I'll definitely see what's going on with you. Thank you, man. So, yeah. Book of Styles is coming up. Book of Styles is the event that Rashad and I created in 2000. Well, our first pop-in battle was in 2010 that we hosted, but I think we changed the format to Book of Styles in 2012. The idea is to, spread different styles of popping, so you have different rounds. Every round you got to do some traditional movement, whether it be waving or tutting or straight popping or, twisto flex or Fillmore or different things. And that battle, our next edition's coming up with Jazzy J on June 23rd out here in DC. And yeah, it's going to be super dope. Now we've evolved it to be a cipher format. So dancers just get to get down in the cipher, and styles start popping up on our digital book, which is randomizing and throwing styles out. And yeah, that's what we've been doing that for a while. Now we got the cipher format. It's going to be fresh this year, June 23rd. Check it out. There's already an event page and all that, so you guys can check it out. I can link you afterwards. Now, the brother event to Book of Styles is Jack of all trades, okay? And mind you, as I talk about Jack of all trades, you guys can throw questions or whatever. Like, that's totally cool. I'll check them in a little bit. But I just wanted to talk about the event for a minute because it was super, super dope. Shout out to my crewmate and friend Monster Pop. He was kind of a one-man army this year. He had some folks helping him volunteering the days of the event, and but he does do probably 95, if not more, % of the work for the event. And yeah, we all know that that's not easy to throw an event on your own like that. But this thing's really doing some beautiful things. So a few things that are dope about Jack of all trades is that the venue is in a swimming pool. So that was kind of different and dope. It's like down inside of a swimming pool. And so all the energy kind of concentrates down into the center where the people are battling on that stage. And that stage kind of allows for dancers to stand around and kind of swarm the energy around there. So you got the circle from like folks that are just from the city watching around the edge of the pool. And then you got like all the dancers around the edge. And they're like just giving a lot of energy. The lighting is really dope in there, and Monster Pop just does a good job to get like varieties of styles of folks in to judge and to be battle guests. Um, this year, the judges were Damon, Connects, and Popula, and the battle guest was Brianna, Mate, myself, and Jordan. So, you know, just in those six names alone, you get a variety of skill sets and approaches to popping and what the dance is and what it can be. So, yeah, this year was super dope. Um, it was Yeah, it's hard to describe it in words how crazy this event is. It has to do with Montreal. I don't know what's going on in Montreal. Someone please explain to me what's happening there. They are so hype. I don't know why they're so hype, but they are mad, mad hype in Montreal. Like they it's dope because they know what to cheer for. It finally feels like, oh dang, a crowd that appreciates all these subtleties and details. Like they were cheering for characters, they were cheering for styles, they were cheering for musicality, they were cheering for concepts and ideas and themes. They were so in tune with just giving support. It was like the most supportive, open-minded audience that I've ever been around. Uh, Jay says because Montreal are all woke as fuck. Yeah, it's something. Maybe that's what it is. But whatever it is, they're like mad supportive and they just give such a good energy. I think they're like even winning the event, it was more fun for me watching some of the other battles. Like if you look at the footage on Jack of All Trades on the YouTube, there's so many good battles, top 32, top 16, top 8, semifinal. Like every battle is interesting and different. And what I like about Jack of All Trades is that it's, you know, and this goes for Book of Styles too in some way, but a little bit more specifically for Jack of All Trades is it's kind of like bringing us back to what popping was in the 90s. Like in the 90s when like Bionic Man battled Devi and Demai battled Devi and uh, Domino battling Tommy Boy. Like there were so many like really just mad creative battles, and the crowd was like mostly b-boys or just like regular folks coming to events, and so they were cheering for like characters and moves and just a variety of things. And I'm starting to feel like that's kind of what this event feels like when you're a jack of all trades. It's like we went back to the 90s of what popping was at that time, and that's when I started. I started in 98, so it's kind of like refreshing in some way to see that. So the event's super dope. You guys got to support. You got to go and just feel the energy. Like I think it's a healthy place to be and to learn. Like that event, like when you go there, it helps people to get better quicker. Because when you're on that stage, and you feel the energy and you can feel what people are excited about, like I feel like that's a quick way to learn, oh, this looks good when I do this, so let me keep doing more of that. And people can find their unique styles by just participating at this event, so it's like, it's really, really great event to be a part of. Some shout outs. I already shouted out Monster Pop. I think Venom was probably my favorite dancer of the whole weekend. Venom was just the club night before, he was ridiculous. He was doing so many interesting things. He was so open. He was so free. And he was just mad, raw, and funky. It just looked like he was catching the Haitian spirits, like the Haitian ancestors are with him every single round. Like it was a lot to take in, but he's like on he's in a whole new world right now. Like Venom is like killing it, and he was dope in the battles too. And I just want to give a shout out to him. Who else? I mean, it's always dope. Damon and Popula are, I mean, it's just, the funk is just, it's too crazy. Like and seeing Damon in person is always like astonishing because he's so large and so funky, and the waves are so huge, and it's so many rhythms, and Popular, so many rhythms, so much funk, so much feeling. Like, I feel like those two people, seeing them in person is like really special. You know, sometimes the video doesn't do justice. Like, there's something about that energy that they bring that you just can't feel through the computer screen all the time. And yeah, sometimes I feel like, moves and sort of like techniques translate a little better through film than like feeling the energy of that person in that moment. And Damon and Popular, like, and Venom, the whole weekend were just like, wow, amazing. Um, I want to give a shout out to the Moonrunners. The Moonrunners taught a workshop together on Sunday, and I was just, lucky enough to sit in and watch these guys do their thing. They were such a family. Like, they were like just supporting each other and like teaching together, and they all understand the same sort of concepts and ideas, and it was just cool to see them, like doing that together as like the Moonrunner fam. And shout out to those guys. They're always dope, they're always different, and they've been pushing, these different ideas, which I feel fit into the Book of Styles and Jack of all trades mentality, which is about diversity and celebrating all the traditions. So those guys were killing it, and as always, good folks. So shout out to the Moonrunners. I also wanted to give a shout out to Jordan. We stayed in the same Airbnb. It was me, Brian, Jordan, and Agu. Shout out to Agu, my homie from Argentina. He was filming, doing pictures, and he also entered the battle, and he's getting better and better and better. And he's doing a lot of interesting things with tuts and glides and strutting and, pushing some different styles. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen more with his style. But he's dope for film and photography. If you're interested, August Franzoni, just check him out on Instagram. Shout out to Jordan. Jordan had some of my favorite rounds of the event too. I feel like Jordan's like generation, like folks that are like-minded to Jordan, remind me of like what I always hoped that popping would come to, like what me, Monspot, Rashad, I feel like it's, I speak for me specifically, I feel like it's what we hoped popping would get back to, because there was some points where it just felt like you couldn't be celebrated doing like different types of things, different styles, different characters, different ways to approach the music. And Jordan is really like, man, he's just a dope mover. Like, we're getting to that point in popping where it's like, how do you categorize this? But I like that. I like that we can't categorize it so perfectly all the time. And Jordan was doing like really, really interesting organic floor movement. I think that was, inspiring for me, and it made me realize, dang, okay, I got to get back to my 2013 stuff, which is where I was on the ground a lot more. And I've been having knee issues and things, but now I'm getting back to the ground and finding new ways to do that. And folks like Jordan are really inspiring for that. And the guy just has a lot of ideas and a lot of creativity and his own type of swag. You can't say he's not dancing, because he's on beat. And he's doing his movement to the music in his own way, with his own character. So shout out to him as well. Yeah, so just again, we got 12 people on here right now. Again, if you guys have random questions, this is also a Q&A. I'm just talking a little bit about Jack of all trades and how the event was. But if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and start throwing them in there, and I'll get to them in a sec. What else did I want to say about Jack of all trades? Okay. Let's talk about fusion and where the dance is going. So popping, to me, and historically, if you look at it, it is fusion. Popping is a fusion of many things. And let's go back. Let's go back to the Boogaloo days. Okay. So in Oakland, when they called it Boogaloo, it just meant to get down, to do whatever you want to do, to get free, Like, yes, there was an importance of the stop or the pose or the hit. But if you ask most people, and this goes for like most people's definition of like what pop locking is, what bopping is, what Smurf dance is, what boogaloo is, like most of these older elders in the scene are going to say that it is freedom. The dance is about freedom, and it's about originality and doing something that nobody's seen before, right? So if that's the definition of boogaloo or popping or pop locking or bopping or electric boogie, then the thing is, I know that's not so defined as most people want it to be, to say, no, this is this and this is that. But we have to get out of that thinking. Sometimes that thinking is just good for education and carrying tradition. But what about the thinking for evolution and innovation? How are we gonna cater to that? And how are we gonna push that? Jack of all trades has created an environment that's similar to these other communities like flexing and turfing and juking, and they're cheering for freedom. When you're free, when you take risk, when it's not perfect, when it's a little sloppy, they cheer. They like it. When you do characters, they like it. When it's not so like beat freaky, they don't mind that, because you might be doing a theme and an idea or what people call concepts, and like, so people, this is one of the reasons I think popping is kind of like slowed down in terms of people joining and being excited about it, and everybody wants to juke, flex, turf, like do these other styles, is because there's still freedom and fun in the style. And I think Jack of all trades does a good job of bringing that spirit back to the dance. So what I wanted to say is, like, if historically popping is fusion, and all the most fun styles that everybody wants to do are about mixing whatever we want, mixing some popping, mixing hip hop, mixing some bone breaking, mixing some glides, then why can't popping be like that? So that's why Monster Pop just joined over here. So maybe he can add some points. But me and Monster Pop had a conversation about Jack of all trades being a popping battle, but it's not a popping battle. And we're still talking about how to define it, or if we want to define it, because the event's growing in a way of its own. It has a life of its own, and it's kind of cool to see how it's naturally evolving, and kind of leave some space to see where it's going to go before all the limitations can come. But this thing of like, yeah, the themes that Monster Pop used, those were based on, sort of a definition of popping, undulation, ramming effects, hits, bottom being floor work and footwork. But at the same time, so many movers and different styles can fit into those categories. So it's like, it's not really a popping battle, but it is, hip hop dancers would do well. Like even, I think like Icy from France would do well. I think, Alex the Cage would do well. Boo Boo would do well, like straight hip hop dancers, and then jukers like flexors would do well in the event, because it leaves room for everybody. So I don't know what Monster Pop's going to do. Maybe he's just going to call it the Jack of all trades battle, and it's just a dance battle, and that's just what it is. Because right now it's evolving in such a dope way that, yeah, it's kind of like so special and different. It's bringing us back to the 90s, and it's just super supportive. The environment being in Montreal, I think Montreal is the perfect place for that event. And what Book of Styles and Jack of all trades is doing, and what we've been trying to do, like, is just inspire these types of mentalities, and when you see Jordans and D Souls and Denoise and, this wave of newer poppers compared to me that are so diverse, And they really are jack of all trades type dancers and book of styles dancers. And I think that has to do with our contribution. I'm sure it does, and it has to do with these events. But imagine the next wave of these types of dancers, like more Jordans coming, and there's so much fusion happening. And I think instead of like trying to hinder it, we should just support it. And Junius always says, if you love something enough, you'll be around to watch it change and to be a part of its evolution. And I think that goes for popping. I think that's important for popping. Like, we have to be able to watch it evolve again and change. The Southern hip hop music is popular now. That's making people want to juke more. Like, there's different things making people want to juke, but that's one of them. And we have to be around for these changes and to just keep traditions alive through the stories and through the education, and let it evolve in whatever way it's going to, and be ready for open conversations about what's healthy and what's not. So I think we got some questions. Feel free, start dropping some questions on the Instagram. I'm gonna pop over to the Instagram here. So we have some stuff going on. Let's check it out. So again, if you're just joining, we're talking about jack of all trades. We're talking about popping being fusion, and we're talking about the freedom and spirit of the dance. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So, all right, let's go through some of this. Thank you, Coco, for the shout out about the battles. I had a great time at Jack of All Trades. And I've been practicing with the Book of Styles format for years with Rashad. So that event is right up my alley. I didn't really feel like I had a weak category. I just, have some pain in my knee, and it was a rainy day, and sometimes that makes it worse. So, for me at this event, it was just about staying in a good spirit and not getting discouraged that my knee was hurt, and just trying to like vibe out and showcase how free and how stylish I could be with my different styles. I was trying to not be in my moves and be more into the style of those styles. Thank you, V Smoke. I appreciate the props, the battle. Jay says Popular in person is seriously so powerful. You feel his emotions when he dances. Yeah, and that's when I was at Body Talk and it was Popular versus Soul. That was actually really close to me. I think sometimes people watch the footage and they're like, oh, well, Soul's dime stops are cleaner, or so he's killing them with technique. But if you were there in person, that was not an easy one to judge, because Popular, you just feel his energy when he's dancing. It's powerful, and there's something beautiful about that we don't always get in this digital age. Jay says, I've definitely been intimidated to fully try because it seems so technique driven and everyone picks you apart. This is what I mean. People are so worried about these techniques in popping that we're losing the spirit of the dance, the original freedom. When they said Boogaloo is, take it there, take it wherever you want to take it. Like all the OGs will tell you that it's freedom. You could do this, you could do that. The dance is all about creation and innovation. The foundation is innovation. So I'll say that, leave that at that. Monster Pop's on here. He says Boo Boo. I guess Boo Boo's a potential battle guest. All right, Albert. What up, Albert? So comparing Jack of All Trades and Book of Styles, would you be more of a popping themed battle than Jack of All Trades? So the answer is yes, and the answer is no, because Jack of All Trades is a popping battle, but it's not. So that's our open-ended non-definition that we're throwing out right now, because Jack of All Trades is based on popping principles, and the styles that fit a lot are the ones that were inspired by popping, hip hop, juking, turfing, flexing. Those are all popping inspired styles. They're all cousin styles in some way. It's a similar family of movement if you're just looking at movement in general, because you're going to see tuts in those styles. You're going to see glides in those other styles. You're going to see, waves. So, they're using popping. And so it's popping, but it's juking. It's popping, but it's flexing. Those styles are fusion. So they're not just flexing. Those are mixtures. And now popping is becoming mixtures of those things back into popping. So right now popping is popping, but it's also juking. Popping is popping, but it's also flexing. So, there is this freedom thing that we have in Jote. Now here's what I'll say about the difference between Jote and Book of Styles. Jack of all trades has more of a focus on innovation in terms of like it being like open and conceptual, and Book of Styles has a little bit more of a focus on tradition. Like there's specific styles of what we consider popping, not themes or concepts, right? Jack of all trades is like themes, and then there's a lot that can fit into there. In undulation, it could be boogaloo rolls, it could be waves, right? In our event, you'll get a boogaloo roll round and you'll get a waving round. So it's more based on, specific popping traditions for Book of Styles. So to be honest, Book of Styles is more difficult to be amazing in. Jack of all trades is a little bit easier to be like, to do well in, because if you don't do boogaloo rolls, but you do waves, you can still do well in undulation. You know what I mean? Whereas if in Book of Styles, if you get boogaloo rolls and you're not good at that, then you get to see the weaknesses. So both of them are educational. Both of them narrow things down to make it a little bit more, give you limitations so that you can up your creativity in that limitation. But I'd say Jack of all trades, they're both popping battles, but Jack of all trades is more application or concept driven, and Book of Styles is more traditional styles. All right, Mason's confused. What up, Mason? I'm confused on fusing styles and finding your own style and what that even means. Then he says, trying to figure out a question around that. Yeah, I'm gonna try to see. Confused on fusing styles and finding your own style. All right, well, if you hit me with a question with that, I got you. But fusing styles is simple. It's when you put two different styles together. Finding your own style is just about moving in your natural way, or using movement that's natural to you, that feels easy to you, and finding your essence is really just about being yourself, and what you like, use it. But that's just a very vague answer. So if you got a more specific question, hit me with it. Digit 74, what up from Switzerland? What up, Robozilla, rep in Florida? Another dope up and coming popper. Monster Pop's loving the confusion with the definitions. I'll say it for you, bro. If you're not gonna say it, I'll say it for you. Jote is a popping battle, but it's not. All right. Let's see, Jay. This makes me happy to hear that those styles are integrated back into popping. That's the popping I grew up with and around. Me too. Yeah, me too. All the poppers that I loved in the beginning were doing so many different dope things. Wiggles, Shallow, Domino. I mean, these were three of my first like big inspirations, and they were doing so many different types of movement. Wiggles VHS tapes, I had all of those, and was just learning different styles. Like I really feel like Wiggles is kind of the forefather of this movement. I don't know if he considers himself like that, but what he was doing in the 90s with those VHS tapes and doing every style separately like that, I still want to do that to this day. That's what Book of Styles is about. That's what Jack of all trades is about. And, it's so dope how deep he went into each one. There was so much creativity that came from that inspired so much of us in my generation. So yeah. All right. Mason says, how was the music? The music was dope. The day before the battle was the Art Beat event that they do in Montreal, and Jack of All Trades collaborated, and that was super dope. It was I'll try to remember the names. It was Shashu was up there, the Count was up there, um, Low Pocus and DJ Manifest, and they were dropping so many dope tracks, and we were just getting down. It was super dope. But the other thing about the battle, Shashu played, and the music was good. Music was good. And I think this is another reason why people weren't doing straight what most people consider popping movement, is because Shashu's not a popping DJ. He's or producer. He makes music for everything. So he was playing things that he felt would match those certain genres. And, you know, a lot of Southern hip hop was played, you know, and that's why I was particularly juking a lot, is because that's what you do when that music comes on. It goes to it. So I'm going to dance to the music. I'm not worried about, oh, is this a popping move or not? I don't have time for that. I'm moving in the way that feels good for me. That has to do with me being my moving in my essence. So, you know, like, he played well. He played a nice variety. And the cool thing is I hadn't heard any of the tracks, like none of them. So it was all fresh. I liked that. So yeah, also shout out to Shashu for always repping Montreal and being a badass producer. And he did a great job for the battle. So the music was good. I think a few traditional funk tracks in there could have been nice, just for variety, to mix some tradition back in there. But you know, like, his music had people going crazy. The energy in the room was higher than it's ever been at any other Jack of All Trades festival, and whatever he did worked. Like, it had dancers open. So all right, let's see. We got some more comments. Monster Pop says, making a statement, raising a somewhat of a question. This is the first edition where I feel some resistance. A lot of appreciation from the community, but I sense for the same time resistance. Yeah, you know, which is what a lot of us got. It's what Rashad got when he was mixing hip hop into his popping. It's what we get when we put strutting in our popping sometimes, you know, not as much these days. You know, there's always resistance when things are evolving. You know, people feel uncomfortable. They don't know how to define things anymore. But, you know, let's just have healthy conversations and figure things out for tradition as well as innovation. But you're doing a dope job, Monster Pop. Like, the event is super successful. People love it. All different styles want to be a part of it. So it's really inclusive. And it has something for all different types of dancers, I think. And that's what's beautiful about it. And plus, Montreal be getting crazy, throwing water on the stage and shoes. Shout out to Abnormal for definitely having the craziest round of the night. He had like one round that was just killer, and people were going nuts. It was so fun to watch and just to be there. So yeah, that resistance, I think, is going to come, but we here for you, man, and keep pushing. And yeah, I'm glad there's resistance, because it means we're going to have some good conversations about where this is going next. All right, Robozilla, I see Jack of All Trades as more of a concept-based event, even though you can do way better by understanding actual styles. It's not focused so much on tradition. Yeah, I think that's what's dope about it. But I think it's also important to just say, like, traditionally, popping does have those categories, like undulation, ram effects, hits, lines, tuts, bottom, which is footwork, and ground moves. Those elements kind of define popping in some way. But at the same time, you're right. It's not like this style, that style, this style. We cover that with the book of styles in our event. Monster Pop, from few comments, etc., the past 4 editions did not receive a sense of resistance. Yeah, it's interesting. Why do you think that is, Monster Pop? Do you think that had to do with the music that Shashu played, or do you think that like poppers are just more into fusion now and mixing like styles more than ever? What do you think about that? Robozilla, what was the hardest round for you? What was the hardest round for you at Jack of all trades? I think the hardest battle for me was Jordan. Yeah, the hardest round for me was Jordan, because I also, because I went first, the second round was kind of annoying that like, okay, Monster Pop, 45 seconds is too short for the rounds. I every round I was like, do it at 45 seconds. Like the year before, I think you were at 1 minute. I don't know I don't know where your thought process was at with that, but as one of the participants, I definitely felt like 45 seconds was too short. Like my second round against Jordan, I think the first like 15 seconds is like the intro of the song. So like I think I only got really 30 seconds of grooves and vibes against Jordan. Um, and then there were other rounds where I was like just ready to take off at 45 seconds. But anyway, the hardest battle for me was Jordan, just because I honestly feel like he was my toughest competitor that I faced. Um, in terms of what he did. Like he did really, really dope stuff. Um, so that was probably the hardest one for me. You know, I didn't care if I went second or first, so I was just trying to throw down and get right into what I was doing. So I mean, I felt good the whole day. Like I said, my knee was a little achy, but I felt like I said what I needed to say and got right into character and didn't really waste any time. So yeah, and but all the battles were fun. Abnormal was fun too, and you know Armel before his ground round was freaking killer. It was tough. All the battles were pretty tough because everybody's good at something. You know, like everybody's really good at something, or both things. Rashad, Jack of all trades is progression and tradition. Word. Looking at the history, the elders per city have always been experimenting. Jack of all trades and book styles builds from that. Yeah, exactly. Um, Jay, I need to hang with y'all to feel comfortable with mixing. You do. You do. The classes online were really dope, Jay. Maybe you could get back to that with myself or Rashad, or maybe we'll see you in Chicago at some point. That would be super dope. But you know, also just fuck it, just start mixing it, just do it. Like I was mixing when I started. When I was a teenager, I didn't wait till my hit was perfect. I was mixing stuff right away. Nikolai, do you think original popping still so strong because it became business in some way? Um, yeah, yeah, it does have to do with it. It has to do with people systemizing what they do in order to teach it, and then these like contests being more sport-like instead of like cultural in some way. Like people with sports define rules, and like in Europe and Asia, it's they're defining rules of what popping is. You know, so in order to say this is the best, this is the high level, this is the low level, so it kind of takes away from some of the freedom, but it also gives a different platform for a contest, you know, which is why I think we need judging systems for those settings, because if it's going to be sport-like, then make it clear what you're judging on and be fair with that. But anyway, yes, it does have to do with it becoming business. Art becoming business, culture becoming business affected it. Rashad says, Jack of all trades is about matching movement to music. Trendsetters always get resistance. Word to that. Jay, shoot, if the music is changing, so should the way you move. Yup. 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 Monster Pop, I was at 1 minute. I think it's D Dimples who made an executive decision as a host. I didn't know it was 40 seconds. Maybe it can be between 1 minute to 1 minute 30. That would be dope. I think 1 minute is cool. A little over 1 minute is dope too. Is just 45 seconds was kind of um, yeah. Just I just remember feeling almost every round that I wanted some more. I wanted to get in. I was getting right into it. Genocide. If you could add one category to joke, what would it be? Oh, that's a good question. Oh shoot. I want to pose that question to other people too. If you could add one category to joke, what would it be? I'll say this: if I could change joke, and this makes a whole new category. I don't know if this is something that Monster would want to do, but I feel like bottom should be two separate categories: footwork and ground moves. Just because me personally, I have so much I could do with footwork, and I have so much I could do with ground moves. So I always wished, I'm like, when those two are together, I'm like, dang, like, what do I do? Like, which one do I choose? So I wish that, those two were separate for me personally so that I could um, have a round for each. But anything else, let's see. Um, I would, you know what? I would add. Okay, so here's the thing. What do you guys think about this? What if we mixed Book of Styles and Jack of all trades and did an event like that? How do you guys feel about that? If there was Jack of all trades concepts as well as a few traditional styles mixed in, who would sign up for that and take on that challenge? That's my question for you guys. Monster Pop is down to add two categories. Yeah, I mean, it's just an idea. It's just for me personally. I have a lot of material for footwork, and then I have a lot of separate material for ground moves. So, but I totally understand the thinking behind it because footwork and the ground moves. I mean, ground moves. It is leg and foot. It's the same thing. I understand why you made it that way. Um, but yeah, I was just like, dang, I have too much material for this for bottom. So anyway, Jay says, "Oh, giant fusion event. That would be dope. Would you enter it, Jay? Would you come to DC or Montreal to enter it? I think we got to do it in Montreal though because the, the crowd is so good. They're so freaking good. It's amazing. It could be dope. Yeah, I mean, we could mix like a lot of elements. There could be a cipher element from Book of Styles, and then there could be like traditional styles from Book of Styles mixed with like, the one-on-one approach with the concepts and the applications from Jack of all trades. Yo, but we need that Montreal hype. We gotta have that Montreal hype. It's the only way. Nice, Jay. You're gonna do it. It's gonna be dope. The Jack of all trades Book of Styles edition, or the Book of Styles Jack of all trades edition. I think we got to do it. That would be super dope. Okay. If there's any last questions or comments, go ahead and shoot it right now. Let's see. Nothing on the YouTube. Okay. Rashad says DC got no hype. Well, it's so true. There's no hype. Montreal makes every scene look whack. Like they were ciphering all night the night before. Oh, shout out to Waldo too. Waldo. This guy was doing breaking, electro, popping, tutting, ticking. It was a fusion of every style you could think of. It was nuts. And like all the dancers are like that there. They're all doing crazy ass shit. Like it was so inspiring. I'm like totally in practice mode because of it. But man, the crowd is so good. So good. So Maybe we're gonna do it in Montreal. Okay, Jay, last question. What's a style that you struggle in or you consider is weaker for you? Um, what's a style that I struggle? Within the popping styles, I've been really working on the ones that I felt were weaker. It's funny, like I I felt like oh shoot, I think my video paused. Sorry, I think my video paused, but I can't tell. Yeah, just in case it didn't. Um, that's a good question. I feel like I'd have to talk about styles outside of popping, to be honest. But anyway, I have to start the online tutting class. So we're going to start the online tutting class now. If anyone's interested to join, just inbox me within the next 2 minutes, and we're going to start the online tutting here. So thanks for your time, guys. Peace. Funk and Focus, Urban Artistry, Urban Dance and Dialogue. Check out Soul Society, June 17th through the 23rd. Book of Styles is on June 23rd. All right. Peace.